Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another session of Weekend with Wisdom. And today we have a special guest, Vidushi Maitri Goswami ji, joining us all the way from Gujarat. Before we proceed, let me begin with a small prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् भारतीकरुणापात्रं भारतीपदभूषणं भारतीपदमारूढं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखरभारतीं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम्. So today's this weekend under Weekend with Wisdom, we are having 4 sessions by Maitri ji on the role of Dharma in the pursuit of Moksha, a Shastriya perspective, a very important topic, especially because there is a lot of confusions today about where the Dharma fits in the spiritual pursuit. Often you will find people who will be saying that I am spiritual but not religious, which is nothing but another way of saying that I am merely in the pursuit of some form of spiritual enlightenment, however you define it, but without the necessary needed preparation in the form of dharma anushtana. So this dharma is the foundation of all life, mundane as well as transcendental. So Maitri ji will be focusing on clearing up this confusion, focusing on the role of dharma in the pursuit of moksha and what our shastras say on this matter. So we are very fortunate to have you, Maitri ji, on this program. Thank you for agreeing. So just a brief introduction to Maitri ji. So she is a practitioner of Pushti Bhakti Marga and a direct descendant of Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabhacharya, Vaishnavite by faith, obviously, and a learner of Vedanta, Bharatiya culture, and various Samskrita Shastras. She has pursued MA from Sampurnananda Vishwavidyalaya, Varanasi, with Vedanta as her main subject, and she has studied all the textual sources of the Pushti Bhakti Marga from her father, Sri Sharad Gowswami ji, and her revered Guru Goswami Sri Shyam Manohar ji. For the last 14 years, she has done a traditional way of study. And in addition to this Shastras of her Sampradaya, she has also deeply studied Samskrita Vyakaran, Nyaya, and Sankhya, as well as a general overview of various philosophies of Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, etc. as part of comparative studies. And she currently works with her father at Sri Vallabhacharya Vidyapeeth, established in Gujarat, for the publication, preservation, and teaching of the shastras, Vedika shastras, and granthas written in the Vallabha Sampradaya. She also teaches Vallabha Vedanta in a diploma course run by the Department of Philosophy, University of Mumbai. And I think she's currently running a online course for Indica courses on the life and works of Vallabhacharya. Very warm welcome to you, Maitri ji. Thank you again for making time for the session. So viewers, if you have any questions, those who are watching on Zoom, you can ask the question in the Q&A box. And those who are watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can you can post your questions under respective videos, and we will take up the question towards the end of the session for the last 15 minutes, and we'll try to address as many as possible. Maitri ji, please go ahead.
So as you said that today the topic which we will be discussing is on the role of Dharma in the pursuit of Moksha. So as Nitinji said that the term Dharma has been very confusing since a lot of time, and people have been defining and interpreting Dharma, Dharmic Anushthan, Dharmic living, religion, spirituality, Adhyatmikta, etc. in many different concepts and meanings. But as we are strongly bound with what Ved, Dharma, Shastra and Shrutis have to say, so whenever we coin a term, whenever we use a term, whenever we identify ourselves with a particular religion or a concept, we need to confine that term in the particular definition which has been explained in the Shastras. And it should not be defined, or any particular concept should not be put into use or as a part of our identification on the basis of our own understanding without taking the reference of what Shastras have to say. So this whole topic will go with the role of Dharma in the pursuit of moksha, specifically in the flow of what Shastras have to say, how Shastras have defined the role of Dharma for attaining mukti, moksha, salvation, and how a person should follow the Dharma in his day-to-day life for attaining mukti at the end. So today, this is the first session for this topic, and the way I'm just clarifying the way I have framed the talk for both the days, for both the sessions, that we will be, first of all, introducing the term Dharma, the concept of Dharma, as explained in Ved and Smruti, how to define Dharma, how to understand the types and perspectives of Dharma, which are related with our day-to-day life, and the way Shastras have defined the role of those particular Dharma. In the second portion, we will try to have an overview of how dharmic activities have been preached by Ved, Shruti, Smruti, Puran, and Tantra in a hierarchy, because all these Dharma Shastras have different aspects and different perspectives for teaching and preaching the same Dharma and the same Dharmic concepts. Third session will go with a comparative view of how these dharmas have been decoded by the acharyas of different sampradayas. And the fourth session will go as a part of conclusion, that how we should inherit dharma in our day-to-day life and what should be the role of dharma in our life for attaining mukti at the end, with the perspective of karma marg, gyan marg, and upasana or bhakti marg. So this is the flow of the topic. And so, starting with the first part, role of Dharma in the pursuit of Mukti. In the first session, we will be introducing and understanding the definitions of Dharma as preached by different Shastras. Now, as we say that there are four types of Purusharthas which have been preached by Dharma Shastras, which are Dharma, Arth, Kam, and Moksha. And as we are focusing upon the term Dharma, we need to clarify and understand the area of reach. How does the term Dharma fall, and what are the aspects of Dharma which have been discussed in major Dharma Shastras in different ways. So the role of Dharma should be understood first of all in the context of Purushartha. The term Purushartha means the activities which we perform in day-to-day life, and all those activities have been divided into 4 parts, which are the titles are given are Dharma, Arth, Kam, and Moksha. The term Dharma in general means duty or a law, a type of order, a way of living, or what are the orders which have been given to a person, what are the duties a person should follow in his life. The second Purushartha is Artha. Artha means to accumulate money, to attain money, or to attain the objects for living. The third Purushartha is Kam. Kam means to fulfill our desires, fulfill the desires of our sensory organs. And the Mukti or the Moksha is specifically related with what the Shastras have to say to attain salvation. So the Jivatma is supposed to attain salvation, and that Jivatma is composed of Sat and Chit Guna of Brahman, and that Jivatma is bound in this world in the bondages of body, sensory organs, man, buddhi, pran, antahakaran, etc. So when a person wants to liberate the Jivatma from the worldly bondages, the journey of liberation is known as moksha or bhakti. And what sort of ultimate goal a person wants to attain in his life is known, it has been titled as Moksha Purushartha by the Vedic scriptures. So these 4 Purusharthas have Dharma as the first aspect of Purushartha. This is the way Dharma has been placed under the categories of Purushartha. It doesn't mean that Artha, Kam, and Moksha are different from Dharma. So all of us know, we have been practicing Sanatan Dharma in our day-to-day life. So we know that swastik is identified as the role model, as the symbol of us, as is used as a dharmic symbol. And the 4 angles of swastik are composed of these 4 Purusharthas, which are Dharma, Artha, Kam, and Moksha. But we will be going into the detail of how these Purusharthas have been divided and have been given a particular role. Each Purusharthas have been given a role. But as a framework, we need to understand the first thing, that Dharma rules over Artha, Kam, and Moksha, all these 3 aspects of Purusharthas. It means how to accumulate money, how to accumulate the objects for our living, then it should go with what Dharma has to say. Same way, how to fulfill our demands, how to fulfill the needs of our sensory organs, it should go as per the Dharmic ordinances. How to attain mukti, again, Dharma will teach you the way, the method for attaining moksha. So Dharma is related with Artha, Kam, and Moksha, all these 3 Purusharthas. And therefore, 2 type of bifurcations have been explained for differentiating these 4 Purusharthas into 2 parts, which is known as Shreya and Preya. The term Preya means what we desire, what we want, and Shreya means what is good for us. Maybe a person is not willing to attain that particular thing, but it is good for him. And Preya is the category in which we have a natural inclination towards attaining those objects or those Purusharthas. So under the category of Preya, we have 2 Purusharthas, which are Artha and Kam. It means in general, each and every human being will have a natural inclination towards attaining money, accumulating objects, and for fulfilling the needs of his sensory organs. While on the other end, Shastras say that Preya is Artha and Kam, but the Shreya of human life is in Dharma and Moksha. It means one should follow the Dharma for attaining Mukti. And though we do not identify ourselves with our Atma, but rather we identify ourselves with our body. But Atma and body, the soul and body, are 2 parts of a human being, and these are the 2 perspectives of human personality. So Shastras say that Artha and Kam are related with our physical needs, while Dharma and Moksha are the needs of our soul, our Atma. So once we identify our Atma, once we know what the Atma is, from where the Atma has originated, what is the ultimate goal of Atma, where the Atma should go for attaining ultimate happiness, peace, then by understanding this basic human need, by the need of our soul, a person would be able to understand that Dharma and Moksha are the Shreya aspects of Purusharthas. So the way Shastras teach is that these are four Purusharthas, and the each and every activity we perform from the beginning of our day till the moment we sleep, all those activities can be bifurcated into these four Purusharthas, but ultimately one should focus upon Dharma and Moksha, and Earth and Kam are should be the Purusharthas which can be helpful in Dharma and Moksha, but should not subside Dharma and Moksha and must be in the prima facie. So the primary goal of a human being should be Dharma and Moksha, and Earth and Kam are supposed to be complementary to the activities we perform for the sake of attaining Mukti and for the sake of performing Dharma. How these Purusharthas are interrelated with each other, then this is the way Shastras teach. And Manusmruti, the Smruti Shastra say that Artha Kame Shvasaktanam Dharma Jnanam Vidiyate Dharmam Jigyasamananam Pramanam Paramam Shruti. So Manusmruti ka, the Rishi Manu says that people are attached with Earth and Kam while they are not related with Dharma. So the people who are more attached with Earth and Kam should attain dharmic knowledge. They should attain the knowledge of Dharma from Shruti. And those people who are curious about Dharma, they should understand the Shruti for the sake of attaining the knowledge of Dharma. So Dharma will teach the format of Earth and Kam in a particular format through which Earth and Kam can be useful for attaining Mukti, while Dharma and Moksha should remain in the major focus of a human life. So the topic which we are discussing is focused upon Dharma and Moksha. That's why we are understanding it in the framework of Purusharthas. So when a person tries to attain some particular result by fulfilling some particular things, fulfilling some particular deeds, those deeds are known as Purusharthas. So at the end, those Purusharthas will lead you to a particular fruit. So Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha, all these four Purusharthas will lead you to a particular fruit, and attaining Dharma as the goal of your life, which will take you to Mukti by complementing Dharma and Moksha both with Artha and Kam for the sake of fulfilling the need of Moksha, fulfilling the need of your body, which is the sadhana of Dharma, because the body will perform the Dharma for the sake of Mukti, and the result of Mukti will be attained by the soul and not by the body. So the needs of the body needs some things, and those needs are supposed to be fulfilled by Artha and Kam. So this is the way Shastras have given a framework of these four Purusharthas. And when we are discussing about Dharma, Kam and Moksha, we need to understand these four Purusharthas into the category of Shreya and Preya. Now, specifically focusing about on the definitions of Dharma, how Shastras have defined Dharma. In general, we understood the meaning of Dharma by saying that there are some type of duties a human being should perform. There are some type of needs for the sake of managing the society. There are some type of ordinances which are needed for fulfilling the basic human needs. And all these definitions culminate into defining the particular term, which is known as Dharma. But as of now, we are going through the etymological meaning of Dharma as explained by the Shastra for clarifying the term Dharma. So the first definition is Dharyate iti dharmaha. It means the one which holds you, the one which upholds a human is known as Dharma. So we attain a space, we attain a base for our living, and that base or that space is known as Dharma, on which a human being will survive, on which a human life will go. So Dharyate iti dharmaha, this is the first definition. The second definition is Yato abhyodaya nishrayasa siddhihi sadharmaha. This clarifies the reason behind following a particular set of rules, a particular set of duties. That what is the need of following Dharma? So Shastra say that Dharma is for the sake of fulfilling Abhyodaya and Nishrayas both. What does the term Abhyodaya means? So Shastra say that Abhyodaya means to fulfill the needs of body, and Nishreyas means to fulfill the needs of Atma or soul. Now, when we identify ourselves, for example, if someone asks me, who are you? Then I'll say, I'm Maitri Gowswami. Whom I am identifying as Maitri. Because Maitri is not the name of my soul. My soul is not a female. A soul cannot be given a particular name. But all these identifications are related with my body. So my body is on the prima facie. It is what we see. It is what we relate ourselves with. It is what we identify as our own identification. And our soul is the source of Chaitanya, which resides inside our body. So that source of Chaitanya makes our body conscious, makes all the activities result into the physical activities, and it is the source of consciousness in our body. So Shastra says that Dharma is for the sake of body and it is also for the sake of Atma. Because when, for example, if I want to attain salvation for the sake of my Atma as the ultimate goal of my life, what will be the base of dharmic activities? Who will perform the physical activities? Who will follow the dharma? Who will understand dharma? Who will get dharma into the application? So the sadhana of dharma is body. The means of following the dharma is body. And that's why doing something for the sake of body will also be ultimately for the sake of Atma. And therefore, Abhyuday and Nishreyas are the two aspects of dharma. Because there are some set of rules or set of orders which are preached for the sake of body, and there are some set of rules which are preached for the sake of Atma. So dharmic ordinances are available in both these formats, and therefore Shastra explains the usage of physical dharma, deha dharma, the dharma which have been preached for the sake of body, by saying that as body will be used for the sake of salvation, and ultimately it will be the body will work for the sake of attaining salvation, mukti. It will attain the Shastra Gyan, it will follow the Shastric ordinances, and then soul will attain the Atma through the sadhan which have been performed by the body. And therefore, whatever will be done for the sake of body will ultimately be a part of Dharma. And that's why Abhyuday and Nishreyas are supposed to be considered as the two aspects of Dharma. And Shastra preaches this as the format of Dharma Prayojan. It means what is the purpose of following Dharma? Why a person should follow Dharma? What are the reasons behind following Dharma? So it says it is for the sake of attaining Abhyuday and Nishreyas. For the benefit, it will be beneficial for the sake of body, and it will also be beneficial for the sake of Atma. The third definition we have is Dharanad dharma mityahu dharmo dharyate prajaha yasyat dharana sanyuktaha sadharma iti nishchayah. This is from Mahabharata. So Mahabharata says that Dharanad dharma mityahu. Dharma will hold you if you will hold the dharma. It means if I protect the dharma, dharma will protect me, which is said as dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. So if I fulfill the dharmic ordinances, if I start following the dharma, then dharma will protect me, dharma will provide me a base for my survival, for my living, and it will be beneficial for the sake of my personality as well. So dharana the dharma mityahu, whatever you uphold and the one which holds you is known as dharma. Dharmo dharyate prajaha. So the society, the whole community will hold the dharma, and that dharma will hold the society as well. Yasyad dharana sanyuktaha sadharma iti nishchaya. The thing which has the potential of holding the society is known as dharma. So dharma has the potential through which it can uphold the society, and the society will be benefited by holding the dharma. This is the concept of dharma, and that's why the Shastras have explained dharma in both the ways, as dharma for a particular person in person, and dharma for the sake of whole community or society, through which through the human beings through which a society is made, a community is made. So dharma will be used in both these aspects, for the sake of a person and for the sake of community both, because ultimately a community is bound because of the human beings who are a part of that community. So if a person is following the dharma, the whole community will be dharmic, and the whole community will be able to follow the dharma in this particular format. So shastras have explained many aspects of dharma in this particular way, where dharma can be understood as a cosmic order. It means the whole universe, which has been created by an ultimate reality, is run by a particular law and order, and that universe has to go on in the same particular flow for the sake of survival. We can understand this with a basic example that, for example, the Prithvi, the earth on which we are living, has a particular dharma. It means it has a particular characteristic, a particular attribute. So when we are living on this earth, we need to protect that particular characteristic of Prithvi. And if we are creating some sort of imbalance in that particular format or characteristic of Prithvi, then that Prithvi will not provide us but a good area or a good space for our survival. For example, when we started disturbing the environment, those environmental disturbances are affecting us. This is not related with a particular religion or a spirit, the aspect of spirituality. But what I mean by dharma as a cosmic order is that dharma has also been explained as a natural characteristic of each and every object. And that term is known as Guna-dharma. Guna-dharma means characteristic or attribute. Each and every object will have an individual characteristic or an attribute. And whenever we are making use of that object, whenever we are using that object, whenever we are surviving on by using that particular object, we need to focus upon the characteristic through which that object has been made. And that characteristic of any particular object will be known as the Gunadharma of that dravya, that particular object. So dharma as cosmic order means that each and every object which has been created in this universe has been given an independent characteristic. And that particular object has to work, has to live, has to survive, and has to remain in the flow of this cosmos created by the eternal reality by being faithful towards that particular attribute or characteristic, which is the Gunadharma of that particular dravya. So it may be Earth, Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash, or whatever object we have around us. Each and every object will have its own independent characteristic through which that object is identified by that particular name. So we identify the attribute of the object, then we title the object by that particular name, and then we start identifying and making use of that particular dravya by focusing upon the Gunadharma or the characteristic of that object. So even that Gunadharma is also carries the term dharma because that attribute upholds that of particular object. So for example, humanity is the Gunadharma of human. So if you are creating disturbances in the basic human nature of a human being, then it will not be possible for a person to survive, or that person will not be beneficial for the sake of community. He will not be a safe person to be a part of that community. And we will have to remove that particular part, that particular object, or that particular person who is not getting fit into the frame of the basic human characteristics we need for the survival of society, which ultimately creates a chaos. So dharma as cosmic order means that each and every object will have its characteristic and attributes, and we need to go in that particular flow for the sake of survival. This is the way dharma upholds an object. It holds an object or it holds a person. Dharma also works as a civilizational principle. It means each and every civilization or a society or a community which is created by humans, which is run by human beings, and that civilization will also have some type of basic principles for the sake of society. And those rules or those orders are created, are destroyed, are abolished, and it keeps on happening through the journey, whatever sort of journey a civilization has to go through. So since the creation, since the ice age till the age we are surviving, From the very moment the universe came into existence or life came into existence on this earth, from that particular day till the date, the civilization is going in a particular flow, and the civilization has been creating rules and regulations and law and orders for the sake of keeping that civilization in a particular framework for the sake of survival, for keeping the civilization in a particular order. So dharma can also work as a civilizational principle, and it may be related with a particular religion and it may not be related with a particular religion. But what I mean is the importance of dharma. The dharma is needed. Some sort of ordinances or a law and order are needed for running the civilization or society in a particular way. Dharma works as a social order as well for the sake of, again, for the sake of society, that when we are coexisting with each other, at that time we need some type of law and order for the sake of coexistence. And if each and every person would try to live or start working in independent manner without keeping the civilizational principles into mind, then that society cannot coexist. The human beings cannot coexist. So dharma as a social order is also needed. Dharma has some sort of ethical behaviors to teach as well. It means dharma will give you some ethical understandings that ethically a human being should be like this, or these are the norms for our ethical behaviors, and these are also taught by dharma. Dharma as duty or responsibility, it can be on the level of a person as well. It means as an individual, what duties do I feel? What are the responsibilities which I feel for my own self? With respect to the work I am involved in, with respect to the people who are around me, and the way I am related with people or the society. So the duty or the sense of responsibility can be on the individual level as well, and on the level of society or civilization also. And dharma as service to the community, it means when I see that I am a part of this community or I am a part of this particular society, I coexist with the people who are around me, and therefore I have some duties towards the community through which I am related, and that's why I must give my contribution for the sake of society as well. So that type of understanding of any individual or any society or any community for the sake of civilization, for the sake of nation, for the sake of all the human beings surviving, all the conscious beings surviving, can also be a format of dharma. Dharma as self-expression, this can also be understood as an aspect of dharma. It means that when I am expressing myself, when I'm identifying myself, through which attributes do I like to identify myself, or through which attributes do I like to express myself. So that dharma can also work as the aspect of expression. And ultimately, the topic on which we are focusing as of now is dharma as a sadhana for moksha. Dharma, how dharma can be used for attaining mukti. Now, when we are titling dharma as a sadhan for attaining moksha or salvation, it doesn't mean that it is excluding other aspects of dharma. We will go through how Veda, Smrutis, and Puranas have decoded dharma and the way dharma has been preached to us. But before that, just for clarifying the framework, that when we are saying that we need to use dharma, or dharma is the only sadhan for attaining moksha, or dharma is understood as a synonym of a particular religion or a spiritual methodology, at that time we need to understand that that term dharma in the context of mukti as a sadhan for mukti doesn't exclude other aspects which are related with the cosmic order or civilizational principle or our ethical behavior, our duties or responsibilities, whatever it is. It doesn't exclude, but it includes all these aspects of dharma for the sake of attaining mukti. As we understood that it is for the sake of abhyuday and nishreyas both, so we cannot exclude the aspect of abhyuday and only focus upon the nishreyas, because abhyuday and nishreyas, both these aspects of dharma, will go in a parallel way for attaining mukti on the way of, for the sake of attaining salvation. So dharma as a sadhan for moksha will include all the other aspects of dharma. And if we go through the Puranas, the way people have lived dharma, they have followed dharma. If we go through the storylines, because Ramayana and Mahabharata, both these major texts which are known as Itihas Granthas, Aitihi Granthas, and all the 18 Puranas which explain the way of living Dharma, all these have the storylines for the sake of explaining the way Dharma can be implemented in our day-to-day life. For example, for understanding these different aspects of Dharma, if we take Bhagavan Sri Ram as the model of Dharma, because Sri Ram has been titled as Vigraha of Dharma, Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. He is an embodiment of Dharma. So if we go through the life story of Sri Ram from Ramayana, he works as a role model of Dharma, in which he is encompassing all the aspects of Dharma, which are related with the cosmic order, which are related with a duty of any particular human being, as a king, as a child, as a husband, as a father, all the duties which are related with the setup of a family, which are related with the setup of a community, which are related with the setup of a civilization, society, self-expression, and ultimately for the sake of attaining mukti as well. So Sri Ram as an embodiment of Dharma explains that all these aspects of Dharma should go in a particular linear way through which they can ultimately make you attain mukti. So these aspects, while focusing upon mukti, don't exclude other aspects of Dharma. And these storylines of the Mahapurushas, the Avtaras, the Rishis, they explain us the way we can include all these aspects of Dharma in our day-to-day life by focusing upon mukti as the ultimate result of dharma or dharmic living, or the way a religion or a society should be formed or should work. So these are the aspects of dharma which have been preached by dharma shastras in the reference to all these aspects. And if we go through Ved, if we go through Smruti Shastra, we can find the ordinances which are related with some of the other aspects of Dharma, which will ultimately conclude into the Moksha Marg or the Sadhana Pranali for attaining salvation or Mukti. So these aspects of Dharma have been bifurcated by Shastras on the name of Vyakti Dharma, Parivarik Dharma, Samaj Dharma, Rashtra Dharma, Manav Dharma, Apad Dharma, Yuga Dharma, etc. So if we go through the basic definitions of these types of Dharma, for example, Vyakti Dharma will go with a particular person, that who am I, how do I identify myself, what is my role, and what is the ultimate goal as per my understanding, and what do I want to attain at the end of my life. So if I try to answer all these questions for my own self, I will get the answers from the Shastras, and Shastra will preach that, okay, you identify yourselves with these things, then as per the Shastriya ordinances, as per the Dharmic ordinances, you should follow these particular dharmas as in the framework of your identities. So this will go with the Vyakti Dharma, the dharmas which are for the sake of a particular person. Parivarik Dharma will for the sake of a whole family. So if a person is identifying himself as a person of that particular family, then he has some duties which are related with the family, and ultimately the whole family will contribute in performing that particular dharma, and ultimately that dharma will not be a Vyakti Dharma, but it will be a Parivarik Dharma. So even if a single person among the whole family will not be participating in that Parivarik Dharma, then that Dharma will not be able, it will not be fulfilled. So Parivarik Dharma will go with the whole family, and whole family will contribute for fulfilling that Dharma. The third type is Samaj Dharma, It means the nuclear families or the small families will ultimately result or and combine into a samaj, into a society or a community. And that samaj will have some dharma to follow. And even if a single person or a single family will create any disturbance in that particular setup, then the dharmic aspect of the whole samaj will be disturbed. So Samaj Dharma will be related to the society and community. Fourth type is Rashtra Dharma. It means small communities and societies will form a nation, will form a huge part of the land, and which will be identified by a particular name or a particular Rashtra. And that Rashtra will have some duties to perform, and which will be ultimately be fulfilled by Vyakti, by a particular person only. But it will be known as Rashtra Dharma because each and every Vyakti, each and every person will contribute in fulfilling that Rashtra Dharma. The next aspect is Manava Dharma. It means when you identify yourselves as a person who is for the sake of Dharma, well, Dharma will be superior to the person and a human identity will be inferior in comparison to Dharma. Then at that time, some dharmic ordinances will be available to a person. Apada Dharma is for the sake of exceptional conditions, that there are some conditions in which a human being is not in a particular flow or in a particular condition in which he would be able to fulfill all the needs of the time. And at that time, for the sake of survival, for the sake of protecting himself or his society, at that time, some dharmas have been preached or some dharmic exceptional conditions which have been identified by the shastras have been preached, in which a person is allowed to go beyond the dharma which has been preached for the day-to-day living. And the last type is Yoga Dharma. It means the time frame in which we are living, the way the whole society is living. At that time, in spite of our will to do something different from what society is doing, from what the time permits us to do, at that time, some people have to indulge themselves in the activities or in some type of duties unwillingly as well. Even if he is not willing to be a part of those things at that particular moment. But because the whole society is doing it, the whole society is surviving in that particular way. And the time, the yoga in which we are living, it may be Satyuga, Dwapar, Treta, or Kali, these four yoga, in the framework of these yoga, some duties have been explained in the context of Yoga Dharma. That in spite of understanding all the other aspects of duties, all the other aspects of dharma, a person is bound to be following the dharma in the framework of yoga in which he is surviving. So these are the types of dharma. So understanding these types and understanding these aspects of dharma is necessary for understanding that when we are picking a particular line from a Shastra, at that time, how to decode that Shastra. So, for example, people use Srimad Bhagavad Gita as, as a Shastra which can teach you everything, which can make you understand everything. And we start using the ordinances of Bhagavad Gita or the orders given by Bhagavan from Bhagavad Gita. We quote Bhagavad Gita for the sake of fulfilling whatever type of concept we want to explain without taking context into consideration. So same happens with the Shastras also, all the Shastras, not just with Bhagavad Gita, but all the Shastras, that when we start quoting the Shastriya ordinances without keeping the aspect of Dharma and context of Dharma or the type of Dharma which has been preached there in a particular context, if we start picking those lines, then those lines will be misinterpreted and we won't be able to understand the context of those orders. For example, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, this is the shlok from Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan Shri Krishna explains Arjun that when you must not focus upon what is the result of dharma, but just keep on following the dharma, keep on following your duties. Now, this line is not for the sake of explaining Rashtra Dharma. It is not even for the sake of explaining Vyakti Dharma. It is for this particularly for the sake of explaining Arjun Atma Dharma. That whenever whatever we are doing, whatever the deeds, whatever the karma we are doing, all those karma are bearing some or the other type of fruit. It may be good, it may be bad, as per what Shastras have to say. It may be a punyafal, it may be a papafal. We are not aware about what deeds we have performed with what sort of mindset in what particular time, and whatever type of fruit uh, came out as a result of that particular deed has already been registered. You are not aware about what happened, but what you can do is that as of now, whatever I'm able to understand as my duty, I should go in the flow and perform that particular duty by not keeping result into my mind for the sake of attaining nishkamta, for the sake of attaining mukti. Because if you are consistently worried about what result will I attain through this particular deed, then that type of sakamta will take you to a new birth. It will bear the fruit of punya and pap, and the flow of janma and mrityu will keep on happening. And if a person wants to stop the flow of janma and mrityu and wants to attain mukti, then he should focus upon nishkamta and must not focus upon sakamta. So this is the context of this order, where he says that the principle of karma is being ruled by Bhagavan himself, not by a human being. I cannot attain the result of my karma on the basis of my own willing or on my independent thought process. But the result of dharma is provided by Ishwar, is provided by the Devtas. So the whole principle of karma is not human centric, but it depends upon the Shastric ordinances, and it completely depends upon what the way these karmas, the principle of karma, has been decoded by Ishwar and the Devtas. So what I mean is that keeping the aspects of dharma and the types of dharma into consideration, only then a person can understand what these Shastri ordinances have to say. So Shastras have not bifurcated their ordinances into these aspects and types by categorizing or chapterizing these things in a particular way. So you will not find a particular chapter on the name of Rashtra Dharma, not on the name of Vyakti Dharma, not on the name of Samaj Dharma, but all the dharmas have been taught in a flow, and a person has to understand the context, has to understand the aspect, and has to keep himself in the center, keep his society in the center, and after that he needs to conclude what dharma has been preached to me or for the sake of society in this particular context only. So what I mean is that everything is contextual. So the aspects of dharma, the types of dharma we try to understand as of now are supposed to be kept into consideration while we are decoding dharma, or while we are taking or picking the lines from dharmic shastras for the sake of understanding dharma. Let us keep Bhagavan Sri Ram or Arjun as an example for understanding this concept. That when Arjun was in a condition, in a dilemma, that what was his dharma being in the Yuddha Bhumi of Kurukshetra while he had to fight with his family members. Or his guru was standing in front of him, his grandfather was in front of him, his brothers were in front of him, and it was the moment of dilemma for Arjun, which has been expressed by him in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun Vishad Yoga, where he asks Bhagavan Sri Krishna that, what do you think my duty is? And at that time he said that, are we fighting for the sake of attaining a kingdom? Are we killing these many humans only for the sake of attaining a small piece of land? And what a person will do after attaining these many things when he just has a small lifespan to survive. I will die, my family will not be surviving after this yuddha. No one will be there for sharing the pleasures of life. No one will be there for sharing the happiness which I will attain after winning the battlefield, winning the battle, and after attaining the kingdom. with whom will I share the happiness? With whom will I live in such a huge kingdom? And what are the negative aspects of Yuddha, the battle? All were shared by Arjun to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And then he asked that, what do you think my dharma is? Now, this question, if we go through the Arjuna Vishada Yuga, we will be able to classify dharma which has been asked by Arjun in these many aspects. That what will be the negative aspects of yuddha for the sake of society, for the sake of females, for the sake of families, for the sake of children who are not even born, who are not even surviving on this land and will be they will be on this land after the battlefield, or what will be the negative aspects of yuddha for the sake of kingdom, for the sake of economy, for the sake of political conditions, for the sake of geographical and environmental conditions. All these have been kept into consideration by Arjun while he is expressing his concern about the dharma. So, what I mean is that at that time when Arjun was asking about his dharma, when he is expressing his vishad, his sorrow in front of Bhagavan Shri Krishna and is curious about his own dharma. At that time, he is just not keeping Vyakti dharma into consideration, but he is keeping Rashtra dharma, Samaj dharma, Parivarik dharma, everything into consideration, and is also concerned about his own mukti and salvation by saying that after fighting this battlefield, after killing my guru or my grandfather or my brothers, and after devastating the whole human process or the whole social setup of that time, only for the sake of attaining kingdom, will this ultimately lead me towards my salvation? And if I'll go to the hell, if I be facing the narka, if I'll attain these many papa phal, then what will be the ultimate goal of my life? So if we just, this is just an example that if we just go through the Arjun Vishadiyo, we will be able to understand these many aspects of dharma, in which context Arjun is curious about his own dharma. Because he is able to see that his deed, his action will be affecting these many aspects of the cosmos which has been created by the eternal reality. So it will be affecting everything. It will affect the environment. It will affect the geographical conditions. It will affect the families. It will affect the people who are around him. It will affect his own self, and everything will be affected. And after affecting these many things for the sake of his selfish intention of attaining the kingdom from his brothers, what will be his ultimate result? What will be the result he will be attaining ultimately? Will it be a moksha? He would be able to attain moksha after all this destruction. So there Bhagavan orders Arjun, if we go through the whole teachings of Gita, that Bhagavan said that you are concerned about these many aspects of society, these many aspects of dharma, but as of now, the nyaya and anyaya are supposed to be given into consideration. So anyaya, this will be if you tolerate this thing. For example, the battle of Kurukshetra never happened, or Arjun would have said that I will not fight the battle, and everything would have been subsided, and the battlefield, that the whole battle of Kurukshetra was cancelled. Everything would have been cancelled, and people would have been survived peacefully. What example it would have set? It would have given the example to the world that anyaya should be accepted at any cost. For what? For the sake of protecting Vyakti Dharma, for the sake of protecting Parivarik Dharma, for the sake of protecting Samajik Dharma, etc. etc. But what will be the ultimate result of bearing that anyaya? That a wrong example will be set forever, that if someone is doing wrong with you, if someone is not being faithful to his duty, then that person should not be punished only for the sake of protecting society or a Vyakti Dharma or a Parivarik Dharma, or for the sake of being emotional by having a look towards the family members. And dharma should be secondary, relations should be primary, or dharma should be primary and relations or emotions or society should be secondary. This was the whole concept. And if we just focus upon the dharmic aspect of the battle of Kurukshetra, we can see that Pandavas were able to protect all the aspects of Dharma. They were able to fulfill Vyakti Dharma, they were able to fulfill Parivarik Dharma, they were able to fulfill Samajik Dharma and Rashtra Dharma as well by fighting against the Anyay, by fighting against the Adharma, and whoever was standing in the Paksh of Adharma. So Mahabharata explains this in a very beautiful way that it may be the person standing in front of you in the battlefield can be your brother, can be your guru, can be your family member, can be your friend, whatever he she may be. But when the yuddha is for the sake of dharma, then the opponent is only adharmi and no sort of relation should be seen while you are fighting for the sake of dharma. So what I mean is that these many aspects of dharma, these many types of dharma are related with each and every individual when he is standing on a particular ground and when he is concerned about his dharma and he is approaching shastras for the sake of attaining dharmic ordinance. So what shastras have to say is that shastras have preached dharma in all these aspects, and if a person wants to follow dharma, he should keep all these aspects and types of dharma into consideration, and only after that he should attain a particular line as his own duty from the dharmic shastras, and only with all these aspects and types into consideration, that dharmic ordinance or that particular line from shastra will give you the meaning of dharma in your particular condition or your particular aspect. Same we can understand in the example of Bhagavan Sri Ram also, that many people demean Bhagavan Sri Ram by saying that he left his wife for the sake of kingdom, or he didn't keep dharma into consideration when he told Sri Sita to leave Ayodhya and go to the jungle, and he just abolished Sita from Ayodhya. Many people say that what Ram did was wrong as a husband. He should have cared for his wife. He should have been careful about the concern of being Sita, female. She was pregnant at that time, etc., etc. But the way Sri Ram managed the dharma at that time, along with being a husband, along with being a king, was not only for the sake of a Vyakti Dharma or a Parivarika Dharma, it was for the sake of Samaj Dharma and Rashtra Dharma. And all these nuclear aspects of dharma are secondary in front of the primary aspects of dharma, which hits the major part of society. So Rashtra Dharma is important than Vyakti Dharma. Parivarik Dharma is also important than Vyakti Dharma. Samaj Dharma is important than Parivarik Dharma. Rashtra Dharma will also go beyond the need of Samaj Dharma. And this is the way whole society has been formulated by Hindu Vedic scriptures, and dharma has been preached in this particular framework only. So for the sake of protecting Raj Dharma, Rashtra Dharma, Samaj Dharma and Parivarik Dharma, Sri Ram let go of his Vyakti Dharma. And in spite of letting, he told Sita to go away from Ayodhya. In spite of doing that, he never backed out from the duties he had to follow as a husband. So when the Yagya Anushthan of Ashwamedh was supposed to be performed, and at that time the Rishi told that you cannot, being a Grahast, this Yagya Karma was supposed to be fulfilled, and being a Grahast, you should have your wife with you. Not only a person, male, can perform this Yagya. And as Sita was not present, Sita ji was not present in Ayodhya, Rishis and the family members suggested Sri Ram that you can marry someone else for the sake of Yagya Karma. And it could have been okay as well because he was a Kshatriya. And for the sake of fulfilling the Yagya Karma, even it was permittable for him. But still, Sri Ram said that I abolished Sita only for the sake of society. But as on the level of my Vyakti Dharma, I believe and I know that Sita was completely pure. And as a husband, he said that I want to know some other option for this, but I will not agree to marry. So this is the way Sri Ram managed Vyakti Dharma, Rashtra Dharma. Dharma a person has to follow in respect of being a husband to a female, and a dharma a person was supposed to fulfill, being a king whose each and every action was ultimately affecting the whole society, the whole nation. So what I mean is that whenever we are going through any of the shastra, it may be Smruti, Puran, Ved, whatever it is, our shastras have framed and identified dharma and dharmic ordinances in these many aspects, in these many perspectives. So not each and every ordinance can be taken into consideration or can be accepted as a dharma without keeping its context and in respectively keeping the person in that particular framework at that time. So whatever has been said for the sake of Rashtra Dharma is for the Vyakti only if he is a part of that Rashtra, and if that Vyakti is a part of Rashtra Dharma, then he has to let go of his Vyakti Dharma, Parivarik Dharma, Samaj Dharma, and must just focus upon the Rashtra Dharma, and only then that particular order or the law will be applicable to that person by keeping Rashtra Dharma into consideration and by keeping Vyakti Dharma, Samaj Dharma, and a Kula Dharma or a Parivarik Dharma in primary level, on the primary level. So, this is the way our Shastras have framed Dharma. And in the second session, when we will be going through the Dharmic ordinances, the way Dharma has been preached, and for the sake of some example, if we go through the Shastric orders, we can identify the way Shastras have preached Dharma. So, for the sake of decoding Dharma, we have these both the aspects of Dharma, which are rights and responsibilities. So, rights are for the sake of human, that being a human, these are my rights, or to attain food, or having some basic clothes, to to live in a good house, to be in a good family setup are my basic rights. And in the context of those rights, I have some responsibilities to follow. That now these are the responsibilities which I must follow for the sake of enjoying or relishing these rights. So the second question which arises in our mind while we are discussing dharma is that our duty over rights or rights is over the duties or rights are over the duties. So in many a context, in many a civilizations and societies, people feel that rights are over duties. Rights are important. Enjoying rights, relishing rights are more important than fulfilling the duties. Though both are complementary to each other. Only if you fulfill your duties, you can enjoy the rights. Or otherwise, if you are not fulfilling your duties, some or the other way, it will create imbalance whenever you are claiming your rights. But in the context of our dharmic scriptures, duties are about rights. So duties are supposed to be fulfilled at any cost. Whatever right you enjoy at the end of fulfilling the duties, maybe yes, maybe not, but still duties are supposed to be over the rights. And that's why the term dharma has been majorly explained as duties and not as rights, or not as the way we understand the meaning of dharma. So now what is the source of dharma? This is the question which arises in our mind after understanding the concept of dharma, after defining dharma. So Shastras say that when we are discussing about the dharma, what should be the source of dharma? From where you should attain the knowledge of dharma? Or from what source, what is the source of knowledge? What is the Pramana Shastra, from where you can attain the right knowledge? What should be the source of right knowledge? So there Bhagavad Gita says, यह शास्त्र विधिमुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः ज्ञात्वा शास्त्र विधानोक्तम कर्म कर्तुम इहार्हसि. The problem with dharma is that being a human being, being a rational animal, as said by Russell, that we have brain, we can understand things, we can develop things in our mind, we can understand everything on our own. The buddhi indriya gives us, is the source of knowledge. And because of considering our own brain as the source of good knowledge, reliable knowledge, we feel that we can understand Dharma on our own. It means that ethically, being a human being, I can understand that I have some duties towards society. If I am born in a particular family, I have some duties towards my parents, I have some duties towards my friends, I have some duties towards the community or society in which I am living, or the duties towards the nation in which I am living, the nation which is providing me many facilities. I have some duties to fulfill towards the nation. For example, paying the tax to the nation is necessary if you are enjoying the facilities which are being provided by the nation. So ethically, we can understand that paying tax is important. And on the basis of these understanding, which we develop in our brain on the basis of our own understanding, we feel that we can understand our duties on our own and we don't need to learn dharma from someone else or from somewhere else. And this is the way people have been understanding and decoding dharma nowadays, as explained by Nitinji in his talk as an introductory talk, where he said that people feel that I am spiritual but I am not a religious person, or I am being dharmic, or I am following some set of rules which are made by me, which are made by the society, but I am not bounding myself with any particular religion, but I am open towards all the religion. And this concept has also been misunderstood as the meaning of secularism by saying that we need to respect all the religions because I am not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person. And spirituality is the common aspect of each and every religion. But this is not the way a person can survive or can attain a particular fruit at the end of his life. So, being spiritual and being dharmic are not two different things. Following spirituality and not being dharmic is not also a rationally acceptable statement. And same way, being religious and spiritual, still not being faithful to what shastras have to say, what shastras have to say is also not an acceptable statement. So what I mean is that when I say that I want to attain mukti after being clear about these many aspects of dharma, only on the level of Vyakti Dharma or a Parivarik Dharma, yes, ethically a person can have the basic understanding that if I am living in a family setup, this is how I must live. If I am living in a society, this is the way I should live. Or if I am a part of India, then carrying the nationality of being an Indian, these are the duties which I should follow in my day-to-day life. This is okay, but this is not okay for the sake of attaining mukti or a salvation. So, by following these basic principles of dharma, which are generated or created by my own brain, which has been created by a small set of people or a society. For example, constitution, Indian constitution is also a type of dharma. It is a Rashtra dharma. So, being an Indian, if I am following the constitution of India, then I am following Rashtra dharma, because the country in which I am living has set these law and orders for running the people who are living in the boundary of India or in this nation. So following constitution is also Rashtra Dharma, but that Rashtra Dharma will not lead me towards attaining salvation or a mukti. So to be very clear, whenever we are using dharma, specifically about this talk, we are taking it in the Shastric perspective. And when we are taking the perspective of Shastra into consideration, dharma is only for the sake of attaining mukti, only for the sake of salvation. So living a happy life, being in a joyous family, keeping your family bound in a particular way, living a happy life to wake up happy in the morning, to sleep happy in the evening is not the ultimate goal of dharma, but the way dharma has been decoded in shastras is only for the sake of mukti. Primarily, it is for the sake of mukti, though all the other results of dharma have also been appreciated by shastra by saying that attaining, for example, attaining purity of mind or chitta shuddhi can also be the result of dharma, or the type of sakama karma which have been preached in Dharma Shastras for attaining Swarga, for attaining heaven, for example, for attaining a good life in future, for having happiness and satisfaction in the family setup. All these are also explained as the results of dharmic anushtanas, but these are not considered to be appreciable because ultimately mukti is supposed to be the result of dharma. So Shastra says that there are two types of karma, sakam and nishkama karma. Sakama karma means that I want to attain some fruit. For example, I want to attain a child. If it is not possible for me physically, naturally, then perform a yagya karma like Putra Kameshti Yagya, which was performed by King Dashrath and his wives, and then they attained Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna as children as the result of the yagya karma. So Putra Kameshti Yagya karma is, for example, a Sakama karma, which will give you a child as the result of that karma. There are some Agnishtom karma, there are Soma Yagya, etc. These karma, which can also bear these type of fruits, through which, for example, I want to relish the heaven, the Swargalok, and I want to attain the Indrapad. Then I can perform the particular Yagya karma, as a result of which I would be able to attain heaven or Swarga. But this is not the primary goal of Dharma. In spite of providing these many options, these many results of Dharma, Shastra appreciates Nishkamata, where it says that ultimately a person should focus upon attaining mukti because all these types of fruits are perishable fruits. You cannot live in heaven forever. You cannot live on this earth forever. Nothing is immortal on this land because everything is mortal other than your Atma and the ultimate reality or Ishwar or Brahman. So attaining immortality should be the ultimate goal of your life and not running behind the mortal objects or mortal results which have been preached by Dharma. That's why Dharma says, Dharmic scripture says that you should focus upon mukti. So the framework of the framework of Dharma, which we are discussing as of now, is resultant to moksha, resultant to salvation or mukti, and all the other type of fruits which have been preached by dharmic scriptures and which we understand as the result of human life are not supposed to be are not supposed to be given into consideration as of now. So what I mean is that when we want mukti as a result, only then these dharma shastras are supposed to be consulted. But if I am not careful about attaining mukti, I don't want to attain mukti at all as the result of my dharmic living or as a result of my life, then if you are not keeping mukti into consideration, then whatever type of ethical dharma you understand by your brain, whatever rashtra dharma you understand through the constitution you read, or whatever type of human duties you feel towards the society are sufficient for living a happy life. And it's at that moment it is okay to say that I am a human being, but I am not dharmic or spiritual at all. But if you are identifying yourself with any of the dharma, as of now, just keep out of your mind that we are just talking about Vedic dharma or Hinduism. Just feel that you are a Muslim, you are a Christian, you are a Hindu, or you belong to Jainism or Buddhism or any of the type of religions we have around us. And when we use the term dharma with respect to these religions, by saying that I follow Hindu dharma, or I follow Jaina dharma, or I follow Buddha dharma, or I follow Islam or Christianity, any of these dharma, then it is important to live each and every moment of your life in the framework of that particular dharma. And just keep your brain aside while deciding what your duties are. So if I say that I am following Hindu dharma, and as of now, when we are just discussing about the Shastric perspective of dharma in the context of Hindu dharma, Vedic Sanatana dharma, at that time, dharma cannot be a subject of your brain. It cannot be generated out of your brain. The dharmic ordinances or principles cannot be decided by a particular person. Those cannot be decoded by a particular society, community, civilization, or nation, but it should only be based upon what dharma shastras have to say. Because Vedic Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, has been originated by Ishwar. So, Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. This is what Smruti Shastras have to say, that Dharma has been originated by Ishwar, by Bhagavan himself, the one who is eternal creator of this whole world, the whole universe in which we are living. So, if you are focused upon salvation, if you want to attain Ishwariya Mukti, at that time you should be concerned about what Shastras have to say, what sort of Dharma in all these aspects, in the respect of Vyakti Dharma, Samaj Dharma, Parivarik Dharma, Kula Dharma, everything. It should completely focus upon Mukti and not upon what my brain has to say and what sort of for what purpose of my life I have in my mind. So keep everything aside, whatever you have in your brain, and just focus upon what Shastras have to say. So this is the way our Shastras have framed out the framework of Dharma. And that's why when we are talking about Dharma in this particular aspect, we should not be focusing upon the Dharma I understand on my own, or my parents teach me, or my family teaches me, or what society considers as Dharma, or what a nation considers as Dharma, but only what Shastras explain as Dharma, because only that Shastriya Dharma will take you towards the liberation, and all the other aspects of Dharma which are not attained from Shastras will not lead you towards your ultimate goal, which should be moksha or salvation. And if a person is very faithful, very clear, and positive by saying that I don't want to attain salvation and I want to do what I understand by dharma or what I understand as my own dharma, then at that time you should keep yourself different from any religious identity. So at that moment, if attaining these fruits is not your ultimate goal, attaining these results which have been decoded by the different religions are not your ultimate goal, then don't identify yourselves as a member of any religious community, but you can be a human and individual without having any religious identity at all. But if I am identifying myself as Hindu, if I am titling myself as a Hindu, at that moment, all the ordinances from all the Hindu scriptures are directly applicable on me, and I cannot keep myself aside even from a single text or a single word of what Shastras have to say. So that's what Bhagavan explains in Bhagavad Gita by saying that Yaha Shastra Vidimutsrajya Vartate Kama Karatah Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. So here Bhagavan says, as I said, that Yaha Shastra Vidimutsrajya, it means the person who is not following the Vidhi of Shastra, the ordinances of Shastra. Vartate Kama Karatah, he behaves the way he wants to, whatever his brains inspires him to do, whatever his sensory organs needs, if he is behaving as per his own will, then he is not going in a right way. He will attain hell at the end of his life. So Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam. So know what Shastras have to say, understand the Vidhan, the ordinances of Shastra, and then follow the karma which have been explained by the Shastra. So in this particular framework, as I said, that understanding context is very important whenever we are trying to decode any of the Shastriya text or any Shastriya line, or picking any line for understanding dharma. So here the term karma, if Bhagavan is using the term karma in the context of Shastra Vidhi, so in this context, wherever throughout Bhagavad Gita, from the first slok of Bhagavad Gita till the last slok, wherever the term karma has been used, then that term karma is supposed to be understood in the context of Shastriya karma only, and not in the context of karma I am doing as per my own will or as per my own understanding. So even if Bhagavan is saying anything about karma, anything about gyan, anything about bhakti, anything about any of the topic, Sankhya, maybe it may be yoga, or whichever the topics have been incorporated in Bhagavad Gita, wherever Bhagavan is using those particular terms, each and every term is related with Shastra Vidhi. and it should not be considered as an independent independent term which is not related with what Shastras have to say. So this is what being faithful to the Shastra means. That when Bhagavan says that each and every karma is supposed to be performed as per what Shastra Vedi has to say. So by concluding his statement, he says that Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. That's why Shastra is the reliable source of knowledge about what karya vyavasthita, about what a person should do and what a person should not do. So about both positive and negative aspects of your duties, from in which duties you should involve yourselves and in which duties you should restrain yourself. In both the aspects of karya and akarya, a person should consider Shastra as a reliable source of knowledge. Gyatva Shastra Vidanoktam. Understand, read what Shastra Vidan is, and then karma kartum eharhasi, and then perform the karma as per the Shastri ordinances. So this should be the reliable source of knowledge for performing karma or for being involved into any type of karma, any type of methodology which has been preached by Shastra. And this in this particular framework, we can say that when I say that I belong to Hindu Dharma, I am a Hindu, then at that time I cannot keep myself different or away from any of the Shastriya ordinance, which will keep these karya and the arrangement of karya and akarya into consideration. What does the term Shastra means? The etymological meaning of Shastra is Shasti iti Shastra, the one which rules is Shastra. So, for example, in when we are living in India and I'm identifying myself as an Indian, at that time it is compulsory for me to follow the Constitution of India. And if I am not following the Constitution of India, I am doing anything against the Constitution of India, then it is a punishable offense. Same way, Shastra rules. Shastra has rules and regulations, and if you are going against the Shastra by identifying yourselves in as a part of that Shastra, then you are doing a punishable offense and it will result into a papa karma. Same way, for example, if I say that I am leaving the boundary of India, I don't agree with the Constitution of India, I don't want to follow the Constitution of India, then it is okay to leave the country to be somewhere else where you can be independent, you are not bound with the Constitution, and you can live your life the way you want to. But if I am identifying myself as an Indian national, at that time I am not free to behave as per my own will, but it is compulsory for me to follow the Constitution of India. Same is about the Shastra also. Whenever we are identifying ourselves with any of the religion, it is compulsory for me to follow the set of rules which have been taught, which have been preached or propagated by that particular religion. And only then I can be that person. Otherwise, we are free to keep ourselves away from that religious identity. The Shasan of Shastra, the ruling of Shastra has been explained in both the ways. Shastra rules as a king and Shastra rules as a friend as well. So Rajavat Shasan and Mitravat Shasan, these are the two types of Shasan which have been preached about the Dharma in the Smrutis. So Rajavat Shasan means that there are some ordinances in the Shastras where Shastra is being very strict by saying that you should follow these set of rules, otherwise I'll punish you in this particular way. And there are some suggestional ordinances as well in the Shastra where Shastra says that as a friend I am suggesting you this, that this will be beneficial for you and it would be good if you involve yourselves in this particular activity. So there are both the type of ruling nature of Shastra in being as a king also and as a friend also. So this is the nature of ordinances which have been provided in the Shastras. And whenever we are going through those Shastras, at that time we can keep both these type of mindsets into consideration. But obviously, if we are going against what Shastras have to say, then it is supposed to be a punishable offense and which will lead you towards the Papa Karma. and following the dharma will lead you towards the punya karma. So about the source of knowledge, about the pramana vyavastha of dharma, at that time the term praman is formed out of the term prama. Prama means buddhi, from where the buddhi should be framed, from where your buddhi should be formed. So the source of prama is praman, and that pramana should be shastra, Ved, and the dharma shastras which are related with dharmic scriptures, which the Vedic scriptures. So for that, Manusmruti says, Vedo khilo dharma moolam smriti shile cha tadvidam acharashchaiva sadhunam atmanas tushtirevacha. Here, Manusmruti says that Vedo khilo dharma moolam. Ved is the source of knowledge, source of dharma. From where to understand dharma? Then you need to understand dharma from Ved. Smruti shile cha tadvidam. And along with Ved, Smrutis are also supposed to be considered for understanding dharma. Acharashchaiva sadhunam. What your elders did, how my elders performed dharma, how my elders lived the dharmic ordinances, it should also be kept into consideration. And atmanas tushti revacha. And what do you understand by dharma is the fourth aspect of dharma. So if we divide it into four parts, four layers of dharma, then the first source should be Ved, second source should be Smruti, third source of knowledge should be the behavior, the way elders lived, and the fourth and the last source of knowledge should be what you understand. So this is the flow in which dharma should be understood or dharma should be decoded. So Manusmriti wants to say that whenever I am in a dilemma for performing a particular duty, that what should I do at this particular moment? For answering this question, I should first of all consult Ved. Secondly, I should consult Smriti. Thirdly, I should consult what my elders did. And on the fourth juncture, you should take your desire and will into consideration. But if you are already getting answers from Ved, Smritis, then you should not keep your desire into consideration, but should keep Ved and the ordinances of Ved and Smruti into primary consideration. So Vedo khilo dharma moolam, the mool of dharma is Ved. In the second line, Manusmruti says, Shruti smrutyuditam dharma manushtan hi manavah iha kirtim avapnoti pretyachana tamam sukham. Here Manusmruti says that a person who has some knowledge, a person who has brain, who has the capacity for attaining knowledge, he should follow the dharma which has been preached in Smruti and Shruti Shastras. And the person who follows dharma, he attains a good life, he will live a good life, and he will attain mukti, happiness, ultimate immortal satisfaction at the end of his life by following this dharma. So this should be the purpose and result of your dharma. Then Manusmruti says, Shrutistu Vedo Vigyeyo Dharma Shastram tu Vaismriti Te Sarvartheshu Vimansye Tabhyam Dharmo hi Nirvabhav. Here Manusmruti says that Shrutistu Vedo Vigyeyo. What is what is Shruti? Then Ved should be known as Shruti because Ved originated in Shruti Parampara through the hearing method of Guru and Shishya. Guru used to speak the Ved, Shishyas used to listen to what Guru had to say, and in that particular tradition, Vedas originated. So Ved is also known as Shruti. Dharma Shastram tu Vaismritihi. Other than Ved, Smritis are also should be considered as Dharma Shastras, and by understanding the combined meaning of Shruti and Smriti, a person can understand the format and the structure of Dharma. So if someone says that Smritis should not be kept into consideration or only Shrutis are supposed to be kept into consideration, what Ved has to say, then a person would not be able to decode what Dharma is. For example, if some person is in the same situation the way Bhagavan Sri Ram was, that at the moment when he had to acquire the kingdom the very next morning, He was asked by his father to go in exile to the jungle for 14 long years only for fulfilling the promise he had made to his wife. At that moment, what should be the duty of a child, of a son? Ram was not king at that particular moment. He was supposed to acquire the kingdom, and at that time he felt that as a child, as a son, it was his duty to fulfill the promise his father made. So fulfilling the desire of father is the only goal of a child. As a son, my only goal should be fulfilling the desire of my parents, and I must keep my Vyakti Dharma aside, my Vyakti Dharma as a secondary Dharma, but must fulfill the Dharma being a child as a primary Dharma. And by keeping this into mind, Bhagavan Sri Ram accepted the exile and kept the promise of King Dashrath. This could not be understood directly from Shrutis and Smrutis. What Manusmritikar wants to say is that when I witnessed the behavior of Bhagavan Sri Ram, which was on the basis of what Vedas and Smruti Shastras have to say, by witnessing the Vedic principle of Pitu Devo Bhava, that Pita should be considered as a Devata. What Smruti said that fulfilling the desire of parents is the primary duty of a child. This is what Smrutis have to say. Pitu Deva Bhava is from Shruti. Smruti say that fulfilling the desire of parents is secondary dharma. I witnessed the behavior of Bhagavan Sri Ram from the Aitihiya Grantha, which is Ramayana, in which I saw the living example of these scriptural ordinances, and by combining all these three meanings, all these three ordinances, I was able to understand that therefore even if I would be in the same condition, then as a child it is my primary duty to fulfill the desire of my parents, and I must keep my own desires as secondary desire, and primary desire should be to fulfill the duties as a child, as a son, as a daughter. So what Manusmritikar wants to say is that always in each and every condition, a person cannot understand the dharmic ordinance directly from the Ved. He needs to understand it from the Smruti Shastras as well. And even after consulting Shrutis and Smrutis, the Puranas, the Aitiya Granthas, in which people who lived Dharma, people who fulfilled Dharma in their day-to-day life, and they attained Mukti, they attained some of the other results, are these living examples are also supposed to be kept into consideration. And then on the fourth juncture, I should decide what my duty is. This is the way a person should take out dharma. He should understand the source of dharma in all these three junctures, and only by combining the understanding I attained after keeping all these three sources of knowledge, Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Aitiya, into consideration, if I have concluded dharma from all these three sources of dharma, only then whatever I decided as my dharma can be right. But if I didn't take consideration into what Ved said, what Smruti said, what Aitihi or Purana Granthas said, then the dharma which I decide as the conclusion will always go wrong. So this is the way a person should decode the source of knowledge. This is the way Manusmriti says. And ultimately it says that Vedaha Smritihi Sadacharaha. So the first source of knowledge is Ved. Secondary source of knowledge is Smriti. Thirdly, Sadachar. Sat Purushanam Acharaha Sadacharaha. The people who have followed Dharma in previous to me, who are elders to me, I should see how they followed Dharma in a particular condition by having a look towards Ved, Smruti and Sadachar, all these three aspects. Then I can decide my own Dharma. So, Sacha Priyatatmanaha, what I understand as Dharma. And Eta Chaturvidam Prahu Sakshat Dharmasya Lakshanam. So, Manusmritikar says that all these four are supposed to be understood as the characteristic of Dharma, primordial characteristic of Dharma. So, Ved, Smriti, Sadachar and Swapriya, these are the four junctures of Dharma from where a person should decide his duties. And that's why the Dharma Shastras, which are originated in a hierarchy but are on the same ground. They are on the same ground, which are Ved, Upanishad, Smruti Shastras, Puranas, and Agam Tantras. All these Shastras, all together in a combined way, explain us the meaning of Dharma. So, as uh, as I said, that keeping the aspect of Dharma, keeping the type of Dharma, keeping the context of Dharma into consideration is important. Same way, keeping the hierarchy of dharmic ordinances is also important while we are decoding the dharmic principles. So whenever I am saying that I want to perform this duty, or what is my duty at this particular time, what should I do at this particular time, then you are inheriting all these scriptural ordinances and hierarchy into mind. So the combined meaning is right, not individual meaning is right. It means, as I said, that all of a sudden I get a copy of Bhagavad Gita in my hand. I randomly open a page. I suddenly find a line from Bhagavad Gita which will say Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. And by just going through the translation of Sanskrit text, or maybe even if after knowing the Sanskrit language, if I try to understand the meaning of this particular line randomly without keeping the whole Bhagavad Gita scripture into mind, the flow of teaching of Bhagavad Gita into mind, the Mahabharata text in which Bhagavad Gita is a part, Mahabharata, which is a Aitihya Grantha, Smruti Shastras, Puranas, and Ved, which form a larger boundary of Dharma Shastras. Without keeping all these into mind, if I all of a sudden try to decode a single line I randomly read from Bhagavad Gita, or I randomly heard from a person speaking about Bhagavad Gita, and if I feel that okay, this is the way I should decode Dharma from now on, and I am a karma believer, the way people are trending this hashtag by saying that karma believer. What does the mean? What do you mean by the term karma? What do you mean when you say that you are a karma believer? What do you know how do you know the concept of karma? What does the term karma mean? Without keeping all these contexts into your mind, if a person is randomly decoding the dharma, dharmic ordinances, dharmic principles, then he will definitely go in a wrong way. He will definitely misinterpret what shastras have to say. And the way we are witnessing Hindus living dharma nowadays around us, speaking about dharma nowadays around us, everything is just because of randomly picking up lines from the dharma shastras without keeping these aspects of dharma into mind, or without keeping the context of dharmic preachings into their consideration. So what, as a conclusion, what I mean is that when I am using the term dharma, that term dharma can be used in many meanings, in the meaning of characteristic, attribute, in the meaning of a principle, in the meaning of law and order, for the sake of a person, for the sake of a society, for the sake of Rashtra, in many meanings. And therefore, when we are picking up a line from a dharmic shastra, which is preaching you dharma, which is giving you any type of order, a law and an order, then it can be in the context of all these aspects, all these types of dharma. And therefore, a person should keep all these things in mind, and only then he should decide what dharma shastras have to say. Otherwise, a person will go in a wrong way, he will misinterpret the shastra, he will explain the shastra in a wrong way, and then ultimately the whole system of dharma will collapse the way it has already collapsed in front of us. So this is the framework of dharma, and specifically when we are as of now focusing upon the dharma as the sadhana for attaining moksha or mukti, we should focus upon what are the dharma shastras, how dharma shastras have explained dharma, in what context, in which aspects, for attaining what sort of result, and the combined meaning of all these dharma shastras will ultimately explain us the meaning of dharma. And this is the way we will be keeping this topic in the flow, by keeping the dharmic or ordinances for understanding dharma in all these contexts for attaining mukti into consideration. I hope I was able to deliver the subject in a proper way, the way we wanted. And yeah, we can invite the questions if there are any.
Thank you, Maitri ji, for the wonderful session. PS, if you have any questions, now is the time to post it. You can put it in Q&A box, and if you are watching on YouTube, you can put it there also. We'll just wait for a few minutes, Maitri ji, if there are any
Okay.
questions. Uh, so as we wait, I think one of the fundamental things, as I understand, is that while dharma can be interpreted in different ways, you explained about how it could be duties in one context, it could be rights in one context, it could be or obligation to the nature in one context, it could be cosmic order in another context. But I think the reason why the Shastras give a certain etymological definition is that dharma as that which upholds. So this upholding has to be kept in mind in whatever context the word dharma is used. Or what are your opinions on it? Am I audible? Did you lose me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Okay, so my question was, what are your opinions on this? That irrespective of the usage of dharma in different contexts, uh, we have to not lose focus on the core definition of dharma, which is about dharana.
What I understand is that dharyate iti dharmaha, dharanat dharmaha. This is the most basic definition, as you said, and obviously, as I said, that even if we take the meaning attribute or guna dharma as the synonym of dharma, even then it will uphold the object with that particular context only. So, humanity, for example, is the guna dharma of human, and that human nature or human attributes will uphold the human. Otherwise, we say that he is a human, but he is behaving like an animal. So that attribute will uphold the human. So same is about the objects as well, and same is about the context of dharma, in which we are discussing as of now in the context of dharmic uh, ordinances as well. That if you are a dharmic person, if you want to follow the set of some rules by being a part of a dharmic community and want to pursue, want to attain mukti at the end of those that dharmic journey, then again those dharmic principle will only uphold your journey towards mukti. Otherwise, obviously, that disturbance will create and it will affect the journey towards attaining salvation.
There is a particular view currently that you can just directly do the karma yoga as you want. I mean, whatever action you're doing, just you can just try to be detached and surrendering, and that itself is enough for karma yoga. You do not actually need to understand dharma shastras or the notion of swadharma, dharma versus adharma. No need to go into the details of it. You can just, whatever you do, you just try to be detached, and that is enough. That itself is karma yoga. So what are your views on that?
As I said, that if we are supposed to attain some type of result at the end of our dharmic journey, for example, I want to attain moksha, then moksha itself is a dharmic concept. Moksha itself is a shastriya concept. And if it is a shastriya concept, it is a shrutyaikagamya concept, then shruti has to lead you towards that journey. So if you want to generate a result on your own, then you can decide the path for attaining that result on your own. But if you are not generating the concept has been originated from the Shastra, then you should be faithful to the Shastra for attaining that particular result only. It won't be possible just by detaching yourself, by involving yourself in whatever activity you are doing.
Thank you, Maitri. I think that is a very important clarification needed because all these concepts, dharma, moksha, punya, papa, abhyudaya, nishresa, all these are basically non-empirical things. So the only source of knowledge for this are the shastras. So you cannot say that I accept the goal but not the means to attain it. So
Exactly.
if you want the goal and you have to accept the means that has been said by the Shastras, revealed by the Shastras. Okay. So we have one question. Viewers, if you have any more questions, now is the time to ask. So we have one question. If mukti is the sole purpose of dharma, then how do we explain that Sri Hanumanji being a Chiranjeevi and living forever?
See, the first thing we need to differentiate between the incarnations and normal human beings like us. So, the normal human beings like us, we are ruled by the rules and regulations of what Shastras have to say. And we are here bound in the cycle of birth and death. And mukti itself means that when I want to be free from the cycle of birth and death, and I want to free my soul from the cycle of Janma and Mrityu. So, mukti is for the sake of that purpose. While when we are talking about Hanuman, Sri Ram, or Arjun, and Krishna, and all these people who are the role models of Dharma, or who teach us many aspects of Dharma, they are incarnation. They are not human beings like us. They are not bound with the in the cycle of birth and death, and that's why they are on this earth for fulfilling some purpose, and they leave this earth after fulfilling the purpose. They don't survive on this land, on this earth, the way we live, the way we survive, or the way we are bound in the cycle of birth and death, or ahanta mamta, from which we want to attain mukti. So they are already salvated goals. They are salvated souls. They are jivan mukta beings, the way shastras say that we see them as the mortal beings, but they are not mortal in their being. They are already immortal, and they are free from the bondages of Janma and Mrityu. So their living is for the sake of some particular purpose, for some teaching, and they are here for as an incarnation, not as a normal human being. So dharmic principles and the concept of mukti is for human beings, not for the incarnated beings or devtas.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think the question could be answered in this way also, that though moksha is the ultimate goal, there are some special beings who are, even after their jivan mukti, from an Advaitic perspective, even after jivan mukti, they continue to live for the sake of the world, for the special divine mission, such as the Loka Kalyana and such
True.
things. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So we have not received any more questions, so we can conclude this session now. Viewers, if you do reflect upon that session, and if you have any more questions, we'll take up in the evening. Do join us at 5 p.m. today. If you have not registered already for the Zoom session, you can register for it. Otherwise, you can also watch on YouTube. So we will conclude the session, and we'll meet again at 5 p.m. Thank you again, Maitriji, for a wonderful session. Shri Guru Namaha.